Hey everyone, this is Jason Manalli with the AK One Day team here in Wasilla, Alaska. This is video number 2 in our 3-part series about fasting and prayer. In video number 1, we gave a brief overview and some broad strokes of why we're coming into a season of fasting here in Alaska. And today, video number 2, we're going to talk about 3 principles of fasting. Certainly there's more than 3. We're just going to highlight 3 quick today to give us some context. And the things we're going to be talking about today are directly taken from the Jesus Fast book, written by our friend and prophetic intercessor Lou Engle and Dean Briggs. Incredible book. I encourage every believer to read it. It's got a lot of solid principles of fasting and prayer, but not just a nuts and bolts book. The reasons why and understanding the time and seasons that we're in and why it's important in the season to fast. And so, anyway, the Jesus Fast, get a copy and get it into you. Okay, so what I want to do first is just debunk maybe a myth about fasting, is that it's some sort of hunger strike. We're starving ourselves to get God to do something. It doesn't work that way, okay? So debunking the myth brings us into point number 1. Point number 1 being we are training our natural appetites in our bodies to feast on the presence of God instead of food. So point number 1, training our flesh and our natural man to feed and feast on the voice and presence of God instead of food in this season. Okay, bringing our bodies into submission, because a lot of times our natural appetites have a way of dulling our spirit man. So we are intentionally foregoing food to partner with heaven through fasting and prayer. Point number 2 is we are kings and priests in the earth, and one of our priestly duties is to partner with heaven through intercession. And so it's one thing to understand prophetic words, it's another thing to believe in the prophetic word, and it's still another to partner with heaven through fasting and prayer to birth the prophetic with things that are coming out of heaven into the earth. So like Daniel in Daniel 9 and 10, he was aware that he was in an epic season of time. Instead of just believing in the 70-year prophetic word from Jeremiah that there'd be a returning of the exiles, he understood that he was in that moment and began to fast and pray and position himself to align himself with heaven to bring the realities of heaven into the earth through fasting and prayer. So that's why we fast and pray. We don't just believe that there's a prophetic word that's going to happen. We partner with the prophetic and partner with heaven to see those things birthed into the earth through fasting and prayer. And point number 3 is that harvest always follows a time of fasting and prayer. It's been true of the island of Wales, 1904. There was a decade of prayer, fervent, consistent concession of prayer that went up to heaven that led to the outbreak of the Welsh revival in 1904. And so we're seeing that happen. Biblically, there's precedent for it also in Matthew 3. Jesus is led by the Spirit into the wilderness to fast and pray, comes out of the wilderness in the Spirit and in power, and begins to wage war on darkness from the position and standpoint of fasting and prayer. And from that we saw signs, wonders, and miracles, proclamation of the gospel, and the message, repent, the kingdom is here. So from the original Jesus fast came the original Jesus movement. So those are the 3 principles of why we fast and pray. We're training our bodies to feast on the presence of the Lord instead of on food. Point number 2, we are partnering with heaven to birth the prophetic word that was spoken by Lou in August of this year out of Isaiah 9, that those that have been in darkness have seen a great light. We believe that we are in harvest time here in Alaska, and so we believe that it's up to us now to position ourselves through fasting and prayer to see a massive explosion of the gospel go out in our state. And point number 3, that's what we're contending for, that from a season of fasting and prayer would birth harvest here in Alaska. So it's an exciting time to be alive. Get a copy of this book and let it get into you. Join us January 1st through February 9th this year. Come and fast and pray here in Alaska, because as Alaska goes, so goes the nation. Bless you guys.